So Hashimoto's and macular degeneration. So I can't say that I've studied this a lot, but you'll see why. You'll understand why here in a second. So I've treated Hashimoto's for a long time. I literally treated a couple of thousand cases or more. And so you start to see patterns. People come in and they have Hashimoto's, and they have every symptom known to man sometimes if they're a real serious case. They might even have fibromyalgia. They'll be overweight. Their hair will be falling out. They could have dizziness, vertigo, balance, because Hashimoto's has cross-sensitivity with something called your cerebellum, which could cause all of that stuff. They can have autoimmune gastritis. They can have PCOS. I'm thinking you can have a million things. Once that thyroid goes, it has receptor sites in every single cell that they're in the body. A lot of people come in with migraines. Honestly, at this point, when a person comes in with Hashimoto's and migraines, I don't even pay attention much to their migraines, because if you start getting the proper areas of the body to function that are causing your Hashimoto's, most of the time the migraine is going to go away. The eyes are in that category for me, okay, which is why I've never really gotten into investigating it a whole lot. I have seen scores and scores of people come in here who have Hashimoto's and eye problems. I just had one literally yesterday who we had talked about the gluten being the number one trigger for Hashimoto's, because when we had done the consult, she was telling me how every time she ate wheat, she bloated. Every time she had a pizza, she bloated. Every time she had a piece of bread, she bloated. And we didn't know she had Hashimoto's yet, but she had all the symptoms, and I was proposing to her that may be part of the mystery disease she came in. She came in with kind of chronic fatigue. And an eye problem. She actually came in for an eye problem. Most of my patients come in with all of these other symptoms, a diagnosis of chronic fatigue, fibromyalgia, neuropathy, something like that, and they list eye problems too. Bottom line on her was between the time we did the consult and the time I was able to gather all the data and do an evaluation for her, she had stopped gluten. Her eye problem went away. Her eye problem completely mind you now, she'd been to an ophthalmologist, she'd been to 2 ophthalmologists, an optician and 2 ophthalmologists, and nobody could tell her what was wrong with her eye. So it was the gluten calming down the immune attack against the thyroid that calmed down the inflammatory responses to her eyes. I don't know, and I'm probably going to go look at it after this question, I don't know the exact pathway to that, but I can tell you what the pathway probably is. When you have Hashimoto's, it creates an inflammatory process. When you get a flare-up, it creates an inflammatory process in your brain, and it decreases blood supply to your brain, particularly to your frontal lobe. Now, your eyes, kind of interestingly enough, is the only part of your brain that you actually can see on the outside. These eyes just go right back into your brain. There's just this one big nerve that comes out, and this is the end of it, okay? And so I surmise that, and here's the thing, when you get Hashimoto's, the inflammatory responses that you have can be so widespread, it's insane. You can literally have a compartment here in your axillary area that gets inflamed from Hashimoto's that'll make it seem exactly as though you got a pinched nerve in your neck going down your arm. And the same thing will happen in your groin, and it'll make you think you got sciatica. Okay, my point being, the inflammation goes everywhere. When you have Hashimoto's and blows up, this is a huge cause of depression, flaring up anxiety. Brain fog is like the number one thing I think people come in with as far as the brain goes, but that's all inflammation. So it's not congruent throughout the entire brain. The inflammation is going to hit the areas that maybe are the weakest areas in that person's physiology. I surmise that's what happens in the brain, but we have had just scores and scores and scores of people's eye problems, and that includes and now I forgot the topic, and that includes retinal detachments or macular degeneration, which was the topic, and bulging eye. It just includes that whole spectrum of eye conditions. And so I've had people's macular degeneration improve. getting their Hashimoto's under control, having them go back to their eye doctor and having them come back and go, my eye doctor said, what's going on? My macular degeneration has stopped getting worse, and it's actually improved, you know. So yes, I mean, there's few things that Hashimoto's is not connected to, frankly. It's really crazy how many things it affects in your physiology, but eyes are definitely included. I'm speaking from experience, okay? Yes, I've had cases of macular degeneration that have stopped in their tracks. I've had cases that have reversed and improved. So that's Hashimoto's and macular degeneration.